Hey guys, I wanted to show you the Russian tear trough. First, let me say that Shelby Miller is like the queen of tear trough. So if you learned from her, ignore this video because she's better. Her technique's way better. But I'm going to show you. So what I start with is I'm first starting with Voluma. I'm doing one syringe split on each side. This is going to help to give tear trough support. Her lateral tear trough was really hollow. I'll show you before and after. So I'm just placing, you can see the Voluma on her lateral zygoma. And people ask me like, oh, do you always start this way? Literally always. Like sometimes, and this is a little submalar here just to help to like prop her up and give her some support under the eye. You can do it a couple weeks before, a month before, a couple months before, but you have to give them tear trough support unless they already come to you and they're fully corrected. This patient already has, you can see, full and amazing cheeks. So I did not go to crazy. I basically did, again, just that 0.5 on each side just to give her a little bit of lift. If they're so flat, you cannot do this technique. Most of the people that text me or I train, they have issues. It's because they're so flat and you can't add, there's no way you can add filler when they're so flat. They need to be corrected first. So that's what I do first. I first add a little cheek. She's checking herself out, just be like, oh yeah, look at that cheek. And then I'm going to add the tear trough. So I already numbed her. You can see that little blanching. So the two blanching parts, I'll mark it for you on an anatomy face, but people get really confused. Like, where do I put my marks? You want to put your lidocaine blebs. You want to do 2% or 1% with epinephrine. So you get that bleb, you get that little white blanch. And where I pick is lateral zygoma about 2 inches down. And then you can see right here where her malar fat break, right there. That's where my other one is. And this, I go subsimaz. So I am deep. So you have, people get really confused over the different layers. Try to simplify it. Your skin, your samaz, everything in between, and then your bone. This is below the muscle layer, so very deep. And you can see I'm using a 25 gauge 2-inch, and I have the patient open their eye. I have them look to the ceiling, and I can see and visualize my cannula. Obviously, the more you introduce and add in the cannula, it's going to become more superficial, right? Because that area is very, very thin. So I'm always keeping my non-injecting hand on the end of the cannula so I can feel how much is coming out exactly. I know exactly where my filler is going. And the secret to not getting the Tootsie Roll is injecting very small amounts. I'm using classic Rusty, and basically this is what the Russians do. They start medial to lateral, and I'm just doing small linear threads. And people ask, like, how much are you pushing? I'm watching the skin, but it equates to usually 0.025. Very, very small amounts. You could see in my finger, the reason I'm using Restylane Classic is because it's very dispersible. So other products can tend to kind of clump or lump. This will not. So you can see now I'm changing my trajectory. So I started medial, did some linear threads, and then medial canthal. Now you can see where her infraorbital bundle is, how I'm redirecting my cannula. You can see I'm not jamming it in. To redirect your cannula, see how my non-dominant hand, my left hand, takes and I flip it over and I pinch it up. I go very, very slow, and it helps to redirect. When you pinch that skin up, it's picking up what? The skin and the samaz, all the muscles and arteries and veins. I'm picking that up so it's easier for my cannula that's underneath of all of that to make a new tunnel. So very, very small amounts. And then I'm going to do my lateral canthal. Now do I see right here? Lateral canthal, 2 inches down. That's my second entry point. And see, I'm going again, subsamaz, my muscle layer underneath my muscle layer. So you have skin, muscles, arteries, veins. I'm underneath all of that. I take my cannula, I pinch the skin up, and then you can see I start to do a little diagonal towards her eye, and still see I'm below her orbital rim. You're never injecting right in the orbital rim. I'm below the orbital rim, and watch my finger. I when I get stuck, when I feel that, like, because you're going to hit orbital rim, right? And also when you're going to hit orbital rim, you want to stay below that. And then you also hit all those retaining ligaments. So that's when I'm taking my fingers and pinching up. And you can see I slowly advance my cannula. I'm holding my finger there. I know exactly where that filler is coming out. And then same thing. I start medial. I do one linear thread. Then I come lateral, do another linear thread. So see here, this is hitting that lateral tear trough. This is the part of the eye I think a lot of people forget. Again, every patient's different. Some might have a very medial tear trough hollow. She is a very lateral one. I used to do needle with this, I have to say, with an insulin syringe laterally. After taking anatomy class and learning how dangerous it is, I will never use a needle ever below the eye. So you can see I'm just doing small linear threads. I'm keeping my finger on the end of the cannula to feel exactly what's coming out. My bevel is down and I'm doing small amounts, about 0.025. Her eyes are open the entire time. The reason why I want her eyes open is because that when the patient looks up, that herniation of the fat pad, same thing. So when they close their eyes, everything relaxes. And then you're not going to place the filler correctly. You're going to place the filler too close to the eye. So you want that eye open or looking up to the sky so that muscle is pushing out on the fat pad. So look, boom. Isn't that amazing? She's happy. She's like, wow. So small amounts. The amount I used, 0.5. Only I under treat. And then I'll have her come back in 2 weeks and then I'll add more. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'll do another one when she comes back. I'll do a before and after.